So, also, anyway, we're going to keep going with basically, okay, I'm almost out of storage from the looks of it. Then we're running the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Whenever this card fights level 5 monsters, it destroys them and gains the attack points of that such monster. And if they activate their effects, they are basically screwed. So, you're gaining the attacks as you're canceling them out. God card Xyz. The only Xyz in the deck is Duo Don King Kale Yuga. Rank 8, takes 2 level 8 DDD monsters. When it hits the field, it disrupts all cards on the field for that turn and in your hand, so hand traps are useless, back row is useless, monster effects are useless. And once per turn, every turn, you can detach 1 overlay unit to to destroy all back row cards, so you're destroying your own Pendulum Scale and your own back row cards, but you're basically saving yourself from cost if your life points are really low. Now, this is why I say this deck is super racist towards other cards. I run 2 of the Gilgamesh. Link to Different Dimension Demon, Abyss King Gilgamesh. Link 2, the moment it hits the extra link zone, you can search your deck for 2 pendulum monsters, DDD pendulum monsters, and set them in your scale. But once that's done, you cannot special summon any other monsters but DD and DDD monsters for that turn. So therefore, it takes 2 DD or DDD monsters to link summon him. So that's when I go to say, running other cards with this deck is very hard and very limited. Then I run the only 1 copy of Boral Sword Dragon. Link 4, Gilgamesh is a second effect, we'll get back to it. Boral Sword Dragon can attack you again if you place a monster on your field in defense mode. If you switch the battle position, it can attack again. So, he's a very douchey card to use, and highly recommended to equip with the Savage Dragon for a 15k boost from 3,000 to 45. Plus, you get 4 negates once per turn, every turn, so, yeah, can't argue that. And anyway, Gilgamesh's second effect is, when this card is destroyed by battle during your opponent's turn, you can search your extra deck for any card that's basically a pendulum monster that's in your extra deck, or any card in your extra deck, like Alexander, Duo Don King, Alexander, High King Alexander, regular Alexander, or Siegfried, and special summon as a freebie. So therefore, yeah. But that's it for the extra deck, for the most part. There's a lot of combo pieces, and I've explained a good bit of them to you. And here comes the other cards. 1 copy of Different Dimension Demon Super Doom King Purple Armageddon. It takes 2 DDD monsters. Once per turn, you can target an attack position monster your opponent controls and destroy it, and you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to half of that original monster's attack points. So if someone had Obelisk, you destroyed it, you're dealing 2,000 points of damage to them that turn. And once per turn, before damage calculation, if the opponent's monster battles, you can make its attack become equal to its original attack at the end of the damage step. If this card is in your monster zone and destroyed, you can put it in your Pendulum Scale. Pendulum effect, once per turn, before damage calculation, if your DDD fusion monster battles an opponent's monster, you can make that opponent's monster just lose 1,000 attack until the end of the turn, even if the card leaves the field. So he's a very good scale 1 to use. Then we run the 1 copy of Odd Eyes. Actually, no. I'll go into that combo piece later, because there's a trick to that that makes a quadruple lockdown with this deck. And we run, of course, Stardust Dragon, because self-explanatory. If your opponent goes to activate a card that's going to destroy cards on your field, you can sacrifice Stardust. It comes back to your field next standby phase, and it stops the destruction effect. Then we have the 1 copy for the extra deck, or side deck, 1 DDD Super Doom King Bright Armageddon, because it is what it is. Its monster effect states, your opponent cannot target monsters you control with card effects. It's basically shielding your pendulum monsters from being targeted. No. Okay. King Bright Armageddon shields all your synchro-based DDD monsters from card effects. So he's basically a shield, and then that's basically what his main monster effect does, because I do remember what it does. The pendulum effect, though, however, states Once per turn, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target one DDD synchro monster you control, destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible with defense less than equal to the targeted monster's attack. And if you do, inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. So, he's very good to have in the Pendulum Scale, so if he's also destroyed, you can put him in the scale as well. Or, basically, are the Doom Kings, you can do that too. And of course, one more Duo King Kali Yuga for the lulz. And then you got the Super Doom King Dark Armageddon, rank 8. Its Pendulum effect states, once per turn, if you have a DDD card in your other Pendulum zone, you can special summon a DDD Xyz monster from your extra deck, except DDD Super Doom King Armageddon, Dark Armageddon. So therefore, you're basically searching your deck off for a free Xyz summon, which is nice. Or, yep, one Xyz monster from your extra deck. So you can go into a Wave King Caesar or a High Wave King Caesar, but this deck does not run the Wave King Caesar. Monster effect states, cannot be pendulum summoned when this card is Xyz summoned. You can attach a DDD pendulum monster from your extra deck to this card as a material, so therefore he's constantly gaining materials every turn, which is very nice to do. Then once per turn, you can detach one overlay unit from this card, then target a monster your opponent controls equal to the number of pendulum monsters you control, destroy that many cards. If this card is the monster zone is destroyed, would be sent to the graveyards in the Pendulum Scale instead. So you gotta be very picky and very choosy with all three of the Super Doom Kings, that they're very, very powerful. Then you run the number 38 Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. As long as he's on the field, every time your opponent activates a spell card, once per turn, you can steal that card and apply it to him as an overlay unit. And then for other cards, we have the Dark Contract with Errors. As long as it's on the field every turn, you can cancel the effect of all trap cards on the field. Starlight Road, if your opponent activates a card that would destroy 2 or more of your cards, activate that to get a free synchro summon from the graveyard without having to pay cost, not the graveyard, but the extra deck to summon a Stardust Dragon. Then the one Eradicator Epidemic Virus, when you have a dark monster with 2,500 or more attack points, sacrifice it to cancel and destroy all spell and trap cards on your opponent's field for that turn, and vice versa. When such card is played, every time your opponent draws, you see the cards that they draw for those 2 turns. If it's a spell or trap, destroy it and send it to the graveyard. Man, Sky Strikers would suck with this. And then you have the one Solemn Warning, pay 2,000 life points to destroy a monster your opponent summons or special summons. Then Appaloosa Bow the Goddess, that also applies for the quadruple lockdown. Link 4, this card gains attack points based on all the link materials used to summon it, and once per turn every turn, or I think it's like every time your opponent activates a card, I think it's once per turn, you pay 800 of its attack points to nullify the effect of a card that they control. Then you run the one Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, Absolute Dragon, and Meteor Burst Dragon. And now how this combo plays off, and this is a very old combo somebody had used way back in about a year or 2 ago, with Appaloosa, Vortex, Siegfried, and Genghis, or High Flame King Genghis, to have 2 back row disrupts and then 2 disrupts for whatever. You would basically go to Synchro Summon into Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, and if Apocalypse is in your Pendulum Scale, Special Summon Apocalypse. This card cannot activate this card cannot attack the turn you activate the Pendulum Special Summon from Pendulum effect. So therefore you would bring the Apocalypse, as long as you don't use the Gilgamesh effect. Summon him, Apocalypse, overlay them to make Absolute Dragon. Monster effect really doesn't matter, but when the second effect activates and it sends a graveyard for the link for a link summon, or if it's destroyed, vice versa, you would want to link into Appaloosa with the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon to get the Vortex Dragon. When Vortex hits the field, you bounce a card back to your opponent's hand, and if you have a Pendulum monster in your extra deck face up, you can send it to your deck to destroy that effect. So, therefore, this deck is very particular with the cards you try and go to use. It's just, as I said, very, very racist, very picky, and very, very disruptive. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I know this is about an hour long, but hopefully you guys got something out of this. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell me your thoughts. I did explain some of the hand combos and tricks, so if you caught on to every effect that I read off of each said card, you're pretty much good to go. And I need to get ready for work, so therefore, this video will be up when I am at work, probably, maybe. I'm a attempt for that. Anyway, y'all have a good day, and shout out again to Dark Arm Duelist, and hopefully people on his channel take a look into this video and they acknowledge the fact that this pure variant is actually better, and the other variants, I admit, are good, but they're slow. And you're basically trying to search into cards, so therefore you're not behind and slacking. The greatest weakness to this deck, however, is cards like Necro Valley and Abbey Dweller, since they rely on recovering cards from their graveyard. And then you also have the hand traps, which also is a pain in the butt, like Ash Blossom, Ghost Bell, etc. But with as overpowered as this deck can be, it's very hard to get across, and even if you miss timing for one thing, you can still recover a lot with it if you play it right and you know what you're doing. This deck is very tedious and very complex to play, but once you figure out how it's to be played, you're set. Like, you're good. You don't need any more help, really, because once you like I said, figure it out, you're basically OG and God tier with it. In personal opinion, this is probably one of my favorite rogue decks, and one of the second strongest decks I have besides Shaddoll Invoked, which is my first strongest, but besides that, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. Was this good? Was it not good? What do you think I should change differently? But honestly, in my opinion, I believe this deck is as great as it is, considering I 2v1 people with it. Okay. Anyway, you guys have a good day, and enjoy. Latest. Hidden Angel Lionheart signing out.